Hello, I'm Kelly Mantle. Hello, I'm Kelly Mantle. Hello, I'm Kelly Mantle. And this is the Kelly Mantle Show. People always say, Kelly, your life looks so glamorous, but doesn't it get lonely there at the bottom? And I say, no, not for a whore. Whores never get lonely because we love ourselves the most. And they say, but Kelly, you've been in Hollywood for so long. You must know so many celebrities. Have you ever licked any of their rectums? And I say, well, of course I have, darling. Why do you think I'm constantly gurgling with champagne? I've been with actors and athletes and astronauts and rock stars and washed-up stars and politicians in the back of dirty bars. But none of them do it for me. You know who really does it for me? Is me. I am my own dinosaur weekend, my own gay jamboree. And so I encourage you, my listeners, to love yourselves unapologetically. And don't take life too seriously. I mean, it's only life after all. In the words of my dear friend Coco Peru, who gives a shit? It's only going to get worse, and then we're going to die. Welcome to the Kelly Mantle Show. You're violently happy, aren't you?
Yes.
You really are.
Yeah, it's so joyful. I ooze joy.
My guest today needs no introduction because she is literally a legend. Her face is on the Mount Rushmore of drag, and she was there when they built it. She is a monologuist, a raconteur, a wordsmith, a pioneer in the art of storytelling, and she will tell you stories dating all the way back to her journey on the Trail of Tears and the grapes of wrath that it took to get her here to California. And today she has arrived on her UFO to the Kelly Mantle studio, and I am lucky to call her my friend. Ladies and gentlemen, Coco Peru.
Kelly, that was beautiful.
Thank
Wait
you.
a second. Was that memorized? Are you reading that
No,
somewhere?
it's all coming off the top of my head.
Really?
Yes.
I wish your shows were that good.
Oh my God, she's already starting. She's already
I know
starting.
I am starting. First of all, the first thing we have
Yes.
to acknowledge how hot is it outside?
Okay, she texted me yesterday and said, it's going to be 104 degrees on Wednesday. I fucking hate you. Listen, I didn't know it was going to be 100 degrees in October.
I didn't cancel. I think some
You did
queens might
not.
cancel. And
You
the
did
second
not.
thing I just have to laugh about is you sent me a picture of this.
Uh-huh.
And you said, just so you
The
know, this
vibe.
is the vibe.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Uh-huh.
And you were wearing all black, looking very gothic.
Well, you
So
know, as I usually do. But I wore this for you today.
Well, I wore this for you.
Yeah.
because
So you're in the black today. You're the witchy one today.
And I was too
And
black. So I threw on this wonderful scarf that a fan
Yes.
made and sent
We
to me.
almost match.
Yes, it says, you know what it says? I still it says, fuck your hate when you open it up.
Shut the fuck
Yes,
up.
so I wore this for you today, so we do sort of match, but it's very funny that I threw on the black and you threw on the color.
Isn't that great? We're
Yes.
constantly switching places, which leads me to the fact that, do you know the most common question I get online and in person is Coco Peru your drag mother? Because you remind me so much of her. I get that all the time.
I'm very sorry.
Oh, no. I mean, after hearing that intro, I'm like, hey, lucky me. If you're going to be remind people of someone, you might as well remind them of the best.
Well,
but
it
it's so
does-
funny because as kindred as our spirits are, we come from totally different worlds. You're from the Bronx. I'm from Oklahoma. It's so funny.
It is funny, but I was just about to say that when we first met each other, it was kind of instant, wasn't it?
It really was.
That's why
Total kindred spirits.
That's why I was so devastated. I was telling people this the other day when I knew that I was going to be doing this. Of when you got on Drag Race.
Shut up.
Please, can I just tell the story?
No, you can't.
I have to tell the story because it's very funny.
Right, cut.
No, you called to tell me that you were doing it, and I was leaving for Spain, and I said
I should have went to Spain.
I said, well, I couldn't be in contact with you. You let me know that, and because you weren't even going to be on social media, and what you said was for the time that I'm on Drag Race, and I didn't understand how it all worked back then, so I thought. I kept checking your socials over the summer, and you still weren't on. So I thought she's still on the show, not realizing that it's so obvious to me now. But at the time, I kept checking. So when I came home from Spain, I called you, and I was like, so? And you were like, girl. And then I said, wait, you didn't do well? And you went, girl. And then I said, well, you weren't sent home first. And you went, girl. Because you couldn't say anything. And do you know what's, and we howled laughing without you being allowed to say it. We were hysterically laughing because there was an understanding of how it went down for you. But we had a good laugh about it. But then I do have to say, when it aired and sort of how you were treated, was really very upsetting for me because I know you so personally and how talented you are. And so I was not only disappointed for the fans of the show that they didn't get to experience the Kelly Mantle that I've seen and watched live, I was really horrified by some of the treatment you received, and even I received through you when I would comment. You know, it was just, that's the first time I really experienced that fan base and how toxic it can sometimes be.
Absolutely.
But what I'm thrilled about is that I kept telling you, your talent will shine through. You just keep being Kelly Mantle. And you did. And then when you were on the Katya and Trixie show, when you toured with that, and people got to see you, and I heard you may have even stolen the show.
Oh, where'd you hear that?
From everyone. But it just, time heals those wounds. And
Absolutely.
I'm so glad that you were finally celebrated for the great talent that I've knew when I first met you.
Well, thank you. I do. I appreciate that. You know, it is funny to me because I do remember that telephone conversation, and I think you said, what would have been the biggest fear that you would have thought would have killed you going on the show? And I said, well, of course, everyone's. I think it's the idea of going home first. And you said, it didn't kill you. You're still here. You're still alive. So go out there and do what you do, which is act and comedy and writing and all that stuff. Because it's a whole different world. People don't, it ended up being a blessing for me to go home first. I always say, they've asked me to come back for All Stars several times, and I've said, as long as you promise to send me home first again. I think a lot of people forget it's not only a drag competition, it's a reality TV show. And I know, like yourself, you admit that you're kind of shy, and I'm very, I don't talk unless I need to. And so they were constantly saying, you need to talk more, you need to talk more. But so it was a lot.
No, but I am the same way. Years ago, I was on a program, I think it was a talk show called Rolanda in New York City.
I remember Rolanda.
Okay, so I have it right.
God.
And this was at the height of that first drag wave, in the early 90s or mid 90s. And I was up on the stage as one of many drag queens. And I realized there, this is not for me, because there's a hunger that some people have that I don't possess.
I don't either.
And I mean, I have a certain kind of hunger, but just to talk for the sake of talking and being seen, and I'd rather be in a conversation. And so I went to that show thinking that's what it would be, or that if a question's directed towards me, other people weren't going to be trying to jump in. And so I just shut down.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to commercial. My husband loves this. And when it comes back from the commercial, I'm no longer on the stage.
You're not?
They put me in the audience because they're like, you got to go.
You got to go.
So I got sent home
on
first
Rolanda.
as well. On Rolanda, no less.
Oh my God, we have so
Girl.
much in common.
Totally.
See?
Yes.
I am Coco Peru's drag daughter. But it's funny because I don't know if I've ever told you this story before, but the comparison of us dates back to before I even knew you. One of my very first paid gigs in Los Angeles, I had just moved here, and no one knew who I was unless you were from the Chicago theater scene or from Oklahoma. And the movie Trick had just come out, which we'll get to in a minute. It's a wonderful film. Coco stole the show. And a promo company called me up, and they had seen my picture or heard about me and said, we want you to ride in the LA Gay Pride Parade in a big, beautiful convertible to help promote the movie Trick. And I'm like, oh, okay. And as the details started rolling in, I was like, wait a minute, you're not wanting me to impersonate Coco Peru, are you? Because I don't feel comfortable with that. And they're like, oh, no, Kelly. Everyone will know who you are. We'll let everyone know who you are. And I was like, well, what a great introduction to LA. So I show up that day. I'm looking good, feeling gorgeous, honey. Get up into that convertible. Right before it starts, they come up to me with a red wig and said, can you take your wig off and put this one on? I was like, you all tricked me, see what I did there, into being Coco Peru. So my first introduction to LA, I'm riding around the Pride Parade doing this, and everyone's like, oh my God, Coco Peru, I love you. And I'm like, I'm not Coco.
That's so weird.
And then the diehard fans were like, that's not Coco. Fuck you, imposter. Fuck you. And I'm like, I'm not Coco.
That's
sorry.
a horrible thing. That was just a bad idea. That was a bad idea. Well, Trick was that movie I filmed in 1998.
Right.
And it was two guys looking for a place to basically have sex, which back then was pretty wild for a queer film because it wasn't about coming out. Nobody was committing suicide.
No.
Nobody was dying.
There was no grinder.
It was just about two guys hooking up and looking for a place to have sex. So it was pretty, I don't want to say revolutionary, but it was pretty...
it really was, it was
one of the first
groundbreaking.
like that. It was kind of groundbreaking in that way.
Absolutely. Now, did you help write the dialogue in Girls Will Be Girls as well?
Oh, no.
Because it was so specifically every one of your voices,
Richard,
which if you all have not seen this film, I am not a laugh out louder. Like I laugh, but I don't like laugh out loud when I watch stuff. I could not catch my breath when I watched this movie. It is literally one of the funniest movies in the world. It is so funny. You three together are... What's the line where you say you have an abortion and what... Is it Evie?
Someone just posted that clip the other day. It's Evie's line.
Evie. And she says,
I've had more kids pulled out of me than a burning orphanage.
I've had more kids pulled out of me than a burning orphanage.
Right. We did shoot the sequel.
Where is the sequel?
I have no idea. And I went through hell with that because my fans have been asking. We did a GoFundMe.
Oh, that's right. I think I donated to the GoFundMe.
Yes, they did.
Where's the sequel?
Exactly. That's what I've been dealing with at my meet and greets, darling. People coming up to me angry.
Where's my sequel?
Where's my sequel? But anyway, I do believe that it will come out one day.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. It was supposed to come out in 2012.
We've had, you and I've had so many projects like that, though. How many things have you worked on? We did something together. Well, we did the Browns together. We were lucky enough to have Coco on the Browns, which was hilarious.
Oh, I wish I had been better on that.
What are you talking about? You were brilliant.
Well, the people there had already formed these like amazing
She came in and played our therapist.
And so I was sort of like, oh God, how do
I know, you pulled me to the side and you're like, what the fuck is going on? What did you get me into? Why am I here? I'm leaving.
I did not say that.
No, you didn't. But it makes for a good story.
That Coco, she's difficult.
She is not.
But we...
Kind of, sort of.
Yes, we did that other thing years ago.
The bald cat was my favorite part, your scene partner on the Browns. But yes, the pilot.
We did a pilot years ago.
We shot a pilot years ago where it was supposed to be 4 drag queens traveling across America. It was kind of like We're Here before We're Here was here.
Exactly.
And it was you and me and our dear friend Micah McCain, also known as Bridget of Madison County, one of my favorite drag names ever, and Quesadilla from Chico's Angels. And we only shot the pilot, and we are supposed to be stopping off at towns across America to do things. And this particular town, even though we shot it here in LA, we were doing a drag show at a senior assisted living facility.
I don't even think it was assisted. I think that was
It was an old folks home,
it
and
was
it's
a
what we used to call it.
full-on, yeah, that's what it was.
And we did the drag show for them.
Yes.
And Coco
went
was
over
the
like
hostess.
I went over like a lead balloon. And I remember at one point this woman raised her hand and she said, "Can I leave?
Can I leave?" Well, Coco comes out, and it's all these like 99-year-old people, and like they're barely alive. And Coco comes out and says, "Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show." And we're all standing backstage in the hallway on the side, and we hear, "Oh my God, that's a man." That's all we hear. And then I was going through my rock and roll stage, so I go out there and I perform live the Black Crowes version of Hard to Handle, and I gave some 99-year-old man hooked up to an oxygen tank in a wheelchair a lap dance.
It's just so wrong. I will say
I
this,
go
though.
backstage and Coco's like, "Did you just give him a lap dance?" I said, "I
We
did."
did laugh a lot on that
Oh my
project. That was humiliating.
It was so humiliating.
But it was, I will say this for it. I'll never forget, there was an older woman there. And I don't even know if this was on tape or not. I don't remember. But she was so sad living there.
Oh.
And that her kids never came to visit her and whatnot. And she found value in us being there that day.
There. Well, you always, there's always that
so
one.
I have held on to that. Yes. For years there was but it's kind
We
of,
changed her life, what little was left
exactly.
of it.
But I will say this, in many ways, I do feel like, although I rode that first wave of drag and feel like I was a part of something that was important back then, in many ways, I do feel like I was a little, like many queens of my generation, we were a little bit ahead of our time.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, I remember going into Logo to pitch ideas, and back then they looked at me and said, "We're not interested in drag."
Right.
And I said, "I've been being interviewed leading up to this, Logo, the gay station. Was Coco excited about it?" I said,
for the
"Yes,
gays,
I
honey."
finally have a place to bring my shows, my one person, and then to be told we're not interested in drag."
Isn't that insane?
Yes, and there was no interest at that time. And in that way, that's why I'm happy RuPaul's Drag Race did take off, because it proved, because I don't think they were putting a lot of money behind that first season either.
Oh, no.
And then it became their big show.
Yeah.
Which
Their whole budget went into that jar of Vaseline, honey.
And so we for that reason, I was happy that the show did well, because I thought, well, now they see that, drag does sell and drag does work and it is entertaining. And I do think that people still have a problem with drag.
Oh, well, I think it's more than now than ever.
Yeah.
I think when you and I were coming up.
But I'm even talking in our business, in the world of show business.
In Hollywood, absolutely.
It just will not be taken seriously.
Absolutely.
Unless now you're on television and you're coming off that show or something, then it's a little bit more serious. But it was very interesting to watch that happen to me over and over and over again.
Over and over.
I would not be. People would come and see my show, say, "This is theater. This should be taken seriously. This should be," and then not get invited to the cabaret symposium.
Right.
Which I was having 2 cabaret shows running at the same time, selling out.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to get invited to the cabaret, or get invited to the Manhattan of Cabaret Association Cabaret Awards, being nominated for Best Monologuist alongside Julie Halston and a couple of other brilliant people, but being sat in the last row of the theater with the drag queens who were nominated for Best Drag Queen. They sat us all together in the back.
Well, see,
It was like, I have so many stories like that.
so many stories like that, and I think the beauty of that is you forged through all of that to show that drag has a place everywhere. You know what I mean?
Well, that
and
was
so,
my
like
mission.
Will and Grace, for instance, you the fact that there was not a celebrated drag queen on the gay show on television is mind-boggling to me. And so the fact that Max and them brought you on there, obviously you were on the original, but then you came back for the revival. And it was so perfect that happened, because that is exactly where we want to see drag queens, and especially Coco Peru, because you are made for television. You remind me of someone who would be on Bewitched. You remind me of someone who would be a staple in the 30-minute sitcom comedy world on television. And so the fact that even, that happened, you forged through all of that. We'll come to your live shows, but we're not going to put you in our galas. We're not going to put you on our red carpets. We're not going to put you on our TV shows.
Story of my life.
Story of my life.
I mean, I was part of the Trevor Project, doing their events out here when Trevor was first started getting kicked off, and raising money for something that I really believed in. I loved the guy that created the film that it was based on, and all of that. But it was interesting that once it became a star-studded event, the invitations just sort of didn't show up anymore.
I call them red carpet activists, because their activism usually doesn't go beyond the red carpet.
Yeah.
We share a love for the same musical, Fiddler on the Roof.
Oh, gosh.
We do. There's something about the music I love so much, because most of it is written in minor chords, and it's so sad.
Oh, I'm not very musical.
Sunset. Yes, it's so beautiful. But you know who I see Coco playing?
Yenta?
What is this about your daughter marrying my husband?
That's who I wanted to be.
Would you do this to your friend and neighbor from Sarah?
I asked my mother if I could be her for Halloween. It's part of my show. Oh, Lord. I love that musical.
I love it.
And I
love it.
I was so obsessed with it growing up. And B. Arthur played Yenta the Matchmaker.
Shut up.
On Broadway.
Matchmaker, make me
Exactly.
mad.
That was the first time I heard B. Arthur's voice. Wow. Then I put it together that we had a comedy album in our house called The Jewish American Princess, and B. Arthur played the mother on that album. I put it together. This is the same voice. And then there was Maud, and then there was Mame that she was in. So I was obsessed with B. Arthur's voice, even before I got to see her on TV.
To see her.
And so I was so in love with that musical, and I would act it out for my family. I used to wear a yarmulke. I'm not Jewish, by the way, but I used to wear a yarmulke around the house. My mother said you can wear it inside the house, but you can't wear it outside. It's disrespectful. And so legend has it in my family that when my parents finally took me to see the musical, I think maybe I was 5 or younger.
Wow.
I was pouting afterwards, and my mom said, "What's wrong? You didn't enjoy the show?" And I said, "I've been doing it all wrong." So I think I was a theater queen.
So that had a big impact on you.
Yeah. I just...
Speaking of B. Arthur and talking about shows that you pitched to Hollywood, and they were like not ready for, is Conversations with Coco. And it's a series that, if you're not familiar, Coco did at the LA Gay and Lesbian Center, and it was basically a talk show between Coco and a wonderful celebrity guest, and most of them, if not all of them, are your dear friends.
Well, I wouldn't say dear friends, but some of them were friends.
Yeah, you had Lily and Jane and Karen Black, speaking of, B. Arthur and Liza Minnelli.
So I was very sad that nothing ever happened with that show, because
I think you all should reintroduce it out
there. I
there.
did think that if you think about me and B. Arthur sitting on a stage together, bullshitting.
Well, yeah.
And now she's gone.
Yeah.
And so some of the people that I was really wanting to celebrate, they're not going to be around. I won't be around forever. You know, none of this is
I don't believe it. When the world ends, there will be cockroaches, Cher, and Coco Peru.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you get asked all the time if there was a Legends season, which
would I do it?
Go on.
There's that.
You and Jackie and Cher.
I know. The thing is that I'm such a control freak. And I have to say...
So you would be telling them like me,
No.
can you move the camera somewhere?
Yeah, no, I have to say to all of the queens who have been on that show or who want to be on that show, I admire you so much for your courage to give up your control.
Your control.
Because control for
everything.
me is a big thing. And I think that's what would scare me most.
Yeah.
Is
It is
saying
scary.
something and
I'm
then
the same
having
way.
it edited in such a way that maybe wasn't actually but I said it.
Yes.
You know, so you have to be so careful on those programs to really represent yourself. And it would be I can see how some queens kind of go bonkers.
Yeah.
You know, when you're locked away and you're just, I really admire you.
I'm just wondering.
You
well,
and all the queens that have been on that show.
You don't have to admire me for going on that.
However, would I do it? I think I might, only because I love being around other drag queens.
Right.
And
that's why we do have the gigs we do, just so we can play together.
Exactly.
And have
so
fun
if
together.
I was hanging out with Sherry and Jackie and Varla,
right?
Did I say Jackie?
I think she was left off.
Okay. We no.
Yeah.
But all of them minus Jackie, I would have a great. No, I love Jackie. But
I'm trying to imagine what the runways would look like.
Oh, just a mess. A mess.
With you,
a mess.
Me
walking down a runway with my bad leg.
With your bad leg.
With my bad. I would have to be pushed in a wheelchair down that runway.
And you would have to do the Violet Chachki with the walkers.
Exactly.
But it wouldn't be for fashion. It'd be because she really
because she has taken some naughty spills over the years on
God.
Stage.
Didn't you just break your foot?
I broke my foot last summer.
Girl.
Can I just say?
And I remember the story.
I broke
you trying to like.
Oh God!
You've fallen so many times. You have fallen so many times.
I fell so hard in Women Behind Bars on the day it was filmed, and I said to the guys, I said, "Listen,
oh my God,
if you want to keep that in, I'm okay with
You're
that.
okay with it
because anybody falling is
funny,
hilarious, and I can laugh at myself.
Yes,
right?
I'm glad you can.
But I guess they.
But breaking the foot's a little extreme.
No, but here's what happened on stage. I got up, and I could feel my shoe getting tighter because my foot was the ankle was swelling. Well, I went to a doctor later on for something else, and he was like, "This is my bad foot because I have drop foot, so it just hangs." He goes, "Your ligaments are not even attached." The only thing holding your foot on right now is your the thing in the back. He goes, you have to have surgery to bring your foot back to the drop foot because it was hanging so badly.
This is from the recent break?
No, this was from when I fell doing Women Behind Bars.
Oh my God.
In February of 2020.
Coco.
Right before the COVID. And so I had the surgery to reattach my ligaments, but I had been walking around for a long time
without
ligaments. And then
I didn't even know people could walk without ligaments.
Well, last year I was leaving the hotel to walk across the street to this venue, and I fell. Get this, in the handicap ramp.
Oh my God!
It slanted.
Special ramp for
you. They have
you,
a special ramp
fall.
for wheelchairs. I didn't realize it went down. I thought it was just a sidewalk, and so I went.
Did you get a slip and fall lawsuit out of it?
No, I went down so hard.
No.
My body made such a horrible noise hitting, and on the way down, I heard the bone cracking.
No.
And I was in agony. My poor husband was traumatized. He ran inside and got a wheelchair, and he's like, "You can't do the show." He wheels me across the street. I climb this huge flight of stairs. We go right into the dressing room, which was like where they house the liquor, and he's saying to me, "You can't do the show. You can't do the show." I said, "I have a sold-out audience. These people pay tickets. I already got my deposit. I'm not sending that back." So I brushed myself out. I took the 4 Advil, and I went on stage with a broken foot.
Fuck off.
And did my show.
Did your show.
And then even did a meet and greet that wasn't required. And then went to the hospital and had the X-ray.
This is why One of the many reasons why she's a legend. What is this obsession with UFOs and aliens? I have to know.
Well,
Now, have you been visited?
I believe so.
You have?
Yes. I opened up about this. I mean, I've always talked about it privately with some people that often believe in that kind of stuff.
I love it.
But
I
I talked about it, Roz Hernandez.
Yes.
She has
her.
She did a podcast called Ghosted, and she asked me if I would be on that, and I said sure, and I opened up on that show about it. And I won't even listen to it because I still have that part of me that goes, this is so unbelievable. And also, when I was young and innocent and knew what had happened to me and talked about it, I was called a liar.
See, it happened to you when you were young.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. And so there's still that part of me that worries about being called a liar.
No.
Yeah.
Has it happened to you since then?
Oh, I think I have had experiences since then, yes. But
with aliens?
Nothing recently. No. My sister is the one that had an experience encountering a being not of this world.
What happened?
Or this earth. And I just don't want to... Is this interesting?
I think so. I'm obsessed with UFOs and aliens because I totally believe they're real. I don't think they would want to come here, honestly.
Oh, well.
I mean, they probably come peep and go, oh, go on. Let me get away from them.
Yeah. Back in the 1960s, my parents flew out to San Diego to visit my aunt and uncle and took me along with them as a baby. But I was born late in my parents' life. I was a mistake. I had an older brother and sister.
You were a mistake.
That was still living at home. And my sister had gone to bed and had just laid down and then kind of rolled over, and standing next to the bed was this being whose head just kind of was above the mattress. And she knew immediately it wasn't a person because it had big eyes, a very small mouth. And
it popped up in the bed?
It didn't pop up in the bed. It was standing next to her bed. But this thing had a small mouth that started to grow like this into like an O and was just getting bigger and bigger. And at the same time this was happening, it started rocking its head like from side to side as its mouth was getting bigger. And my sister then let out this like horrific scream that my brother thought she was being murdered, and he ran upstairs, and as she went to go turn on the light, she saw it sort of scurry across the room and into another room in the house. My brother came in, you're just dreaming. No. Anyway, that was the end of it. My sister swore by what she saw. My parents came home from San Diego. Our neighbor Ann calls, and Ann says to my mom, Helen, I have to talk to you about something. I've been trying to put it out of my mind, but something happened. And my mom said, what? And she goes, I was out in the yard late at night because I forgot to take in the laundry with all the kids she had. And I'm standing there, and I looked, and standing by my fence was this person.
Oh my
small
God.
person. And my mom said, what? And she goes, yeah, and it started doing this thing with its mouth. And it started rocking its head. And she's describing exactly what my sister saw.
What?
So my mother says, Ann, when did this happen? And she figures out the date, the night that it happened. And it was the same night my sister saw that being. So...
Extraterrestrial.
Yes. So, and I had my own experience when I was young, but we don't need to get into that. But that was my sister's experience.
That's amazing. Why are the aliens visiting the Bronx?
Well, I grew up in a part of the Bronx. But, they visited Manhattan, apparently.
But you're right there on that little island, weren't you?
Yeah.
So it would make sense that,
Who knows? But so people think because I am a writer and because I'm a drag queen, people are like, she's just making up shit.
I love it.
But that did happen.
Oh my God, that's so cool. I want to be visited by an alien.
Because there was something else that happened many years later where I think they were back. But I now tell them I don't want this.
Why? Tell him to come to my house.
I'll tell him to show up at Kelly Mantle's house.
Show up at my house, bitch.
She'll not only go with you wherever you want to take her. She'll blow you.
Honey, I'll blow you. I will blow an alien in your UFO, honey. You host. I will come over.
Exactly.
Girl.
Not even charged. Just give me a nice view of the galaxy.
Oh my God. I want to blow an alien. If they take someone from this Earth to go be a representative for the planet Earth, I hope it's Coco Peru. Because I think you would be a great representative for us. You are a source of wisdom, enlightenment, but you are also going to tell them where to put it.
No, I do feel like I am a source of entertainment and some great storytelling, but
Listen to her.
there is this other sighting that is clearly not a well woman.
She's still trying to retire, and we're not going to let her. All right, so we like to close out our little Kelly Mantle Show podcast here with a little word association. Now, feel free to offer more than a word or two, because we all know that you are a word.
A big blowhard.
Yes, a big blowhard. So I'm going to throw some words at you that I think might pull a trigger or tickle your fancy. So
Can my fancy even be tickled anymore?
Do you still feel anything down there at all? I know she does, because I hear the inside stories. We didn't even get into that,
Oh,
honey.
Lord, please don't get into that.
A trip to Starbucks in the middle of the afternoon for Coco Peru.
I went through a slut phase, and I have no regrets.
She's going to pretend like she's not going through
I
it
have
anymore.
no regrets.
You shouldn't.
No.
I hope you're still doing it.
I wish I had done it when I was younger, let me tell you.
You didn't?
No, I didn't know that men could be into something that looked like me. In fact, I was so fucked up, both as a boy and as Coco. I thought I was ugly.
What?
Yes.
Coco is gorgeous.
When I look at pictures of young Coco, I'm like, oh my God, what was I?
You're
like?
still gorgeous.
Yeah,
What are you
just
talking
whatever,
about? I mean,
whatever.
you know you pick up all the hot Armenian boys at the Starbucks, honey. Don't even try it. I won't share those kiss and tell stories, but oh my God, the cable guy story is my favorite.
Isn't that sweet?
Isn't that wonderful?
Yes.
All right, we won't share it. Word association.
Let them pay for it.
Let them pay for it.
Yes.
That'll be on the Patreon.
Yes.
I don't even know what that is. Goat cheese.
I hate it. I hate it so much. I can't believe you even brought that up, because now I'm like, I hate it so much. And I know people are, I know those of you out there are horrified that have a passion for goat cheese, but there's very few things that I hate, and I'm willing to try most anything. Goat cheese is
not one of them.
vile.
Now, when did you
Early on,
accumulate
the
this
first time,
hatred
when
for
they
goat
started
cheese?
throwing that fucking shit on salads.
Now, what's the difference in goat cheese and feta cheese? Is there a difference?
Well, they might both be, but I'm talking about the little round thing of goat cheese they'll throw right on a salad.
on the Mediterranean dish.
And kill everything. All you taste is that musty closet is what it tastes like. It's just a
It
musty,
tastes like a
nasty
musty
sock. I
closet.
hate it.
You're so right.
I hate
I'm not a
it.
fan of it either,
No.
honestly.
You know who else hated it?
Who?
Heclina.
Oh.
And we bonded so much over that.
Over the hatred
Over
for
the,
goat
our hatred for goat cheese. No, because most people love it. So when you find someone that hates it as much as you do,
Oh, it is.
you just cling to that.
No, I always push it to the side on my Greek salads. Yeah, I can't do it.
Truffle oil is the other big one.
Oh, really? No truffle
truffles. Oh, God, no.
Oh. Serendipity.
Serendipity. That was a restaurant in New York City years ago.
Oh, was it really?
A lot of my actor friends who were waiting tables. That's
No
the first
way.
thing that came to me, serendipity.
I love that. I didn't
But
know
I,
that.
I love serendipity, and I've had a lot of serendipity happen in my life. And
Yes,
of
you
course,
have.
there might be some young people out there that are thinking, like, what the fuck is that a drag queen? We haven't heard
It's a
of
great
yet.
drag name,
Yeah,
though.
it's a great drag name.
Serendipity
Sarah,
Dupree.
yeah. But yeah, no, I love serendipity.
I
in
do
those
too. I love the
moments.
word. I love saying
It's a
it.
great word.
Serendipitous.
I can tell the way you say it.
Yes. Pickles.
Oh, I love pickles.
I know you love your pickles.
I have to have a jar of pickles in my refrigerator at all times.
At
or
all
I
times.
get a little anxiety.
Is that like your anxiety drug when you're not taking your pills?
When I'm not
you
taking
go
my
for the pickles?
Lexapro, I go for a pickle. Honey, I'll eat a fucking jar of...
I know you will.
No, sauerkraut.
Remember the
Cold.
little cafe we used to go to, and they'd bring us the little thing of pickles with the little sign of
And what
dill
did I
pickles.
say?
Oh, you wanted mine. I
yeah.
gave you my pickle. Okay, here's the next one. Pride.
Pride. Don't get me started.
Come on now.
I go to 2 places with that.
Exactly.
Like, there's a part of me that loves pride.
Yes.
My first pride changed my life.
Yes.
When I rode home that train to the Bronx and slowly started to climb back up, and I realized, oh no, what I felt at that pride is how I'm supposed to feel.
And what was that? What was that like then? What was the pride like then? Because it wasn't like these corporate sponsorships.
It might have been, but it was magical for me. It was just magical to see that many people take over New York City who were openly queer, gay, lesbian, trans, drag, everything. I wasn't even doing drag at that point. And to see it just out there in the streets and like one of the main, it was just magical for me.
Wow.
So I know prides are important. Mm-hmm. And then there's that other side of me that gets cynical with the corporate takeover. And my husband and I've shared this many times, we went to the Pride out here one year, and the what do you call the people that are
the Grand Marshal?
The Grand Marshals were.
Have you ever been?
Not out here. I was the Grand Marshal once in. I'll tell that. But who was the
Paris
hotel
Hilton.
heir? It was Paris Hilton and her mom were the Grand Marshals, and all the queens were like, "Wow, Paris!" Reality TV again. And I looked at my husband and I said, "Does this make you feel proud?" And he said, "No." He didn't even know who she was, and so we left. And that's not against Paris Hilton.
Not at all.
She's
gorgeous. She's
exactly.
beautiful.
I love
fun.
her, and she is funny.
Stop being poor.
But the it is that. When it becomes too corporate and we forget about why are we in this street?
Yes.
Why is pride still important?
Right.
And I get that people want to show up who want to be allies, but let them be an ally and let Kelly Mantle be the Grand Marshal wearing a Coco wig.
Hello.
I just love to
we
bring
love
it.
you,
I
Coco
love it.
Peru.
I love to bring it full circle.
Coco Peru. You do. You always bring everything full circle.
However, when I was Grand Marshal out in P-Town, let me tell you something.
Oh, you were?
I was, and it was a terrible experience. And I do think it's one of the reasons when I hear P-Town, I get a little twitchy. The boys out there these big muscle guys were balling up the beads and throwing them at me so hard it was stinging my face. And of course I was trying to laugh and I'm going, stop that, and but it really was kind of traumatizing for me. I felt bullied.
Would have loved to have been on the
You would have loved to have
sidelines
seen
and
it.
thrown a big fistful of beads right into your face.
You would have, you would have, but it was horrible.
Well, you need to be the Grand Marshal at every Pride parade, if you ask me.
No, it's terrible. You know how
Come
hot
on.
it is? It's terrible.
Come on, I'm gonna write to every Pride parade
I'm not-
in the country
I don't
and
do-
say book Coco.
Yeah, exactly. And they'll go, Coco who?
I love you.
I love you too, sweetheart.
Thank you for being
Well,
here.
thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
And your show is called The Kelly Mantle Show.
The Kelly Mantle
Could
Show.
that not be? I thought I was trying to think of titles for your show on the way over here, and mine was Up on the Mantle.
Ooh, I like that.
You know, 'cause you're keeping up with the
Yeah, we also played
Kelly
around with
Mantle.
Dismantled.
Dismantled. I like that.
Dismantled.
That was
We played around
one of
with
the
that
other
for
ones
a
I
little bit,
thought
yeah.
of. But
it
the
made
Kelly
perfect
Mantle
sense to
Show.
call the Kelly Mantle Show.
And nowadays, you really do need to be direct or you'll get lost in the mix. And so the Kelly Mantle Show, I approve.
The Kelly Mantle Show here in the Kelly Mantle Studio with our guest
What are you
today,
doing?
Miss Coco Peru.
You're reminding me of that time we went to that party with the Real Housewives.
Oh my God, we went to a Real Housewives party.
Which was just a whatever.
Who was
shit show.
it was the one married to the plastic surgeon, but they're not married anymore. She lives across the
yes,
street from Lisa
but
Vanderpump.
And you talked like this the whole night.
Did I really?
You were talking, hi, how are you? Yeah. And at that time, I said, what are you doing? Why are you talking like that? And you said, because guys think it's sexy and I have to, and no one ended up picking you up that night.
Oh my
And she was so mad. You walked away saying this was a waste of face.
A waste of my face.
Oh, and the other thing we never brought up, and I know we're running late. Yeah, I mean, but when I took the keys away from you, wouldn't let you drive me home.
When?
We went to the Christmas party for RuPaul's Drag Race, and you drank, and I took away the keys.
That's right.
And you were hysterically laughing.
Remember that.
I drove. What kind of car did you have? It was like a Mustang.
I still have it.
Yes,
the Mustang
I drove your
convertible.
Mustang.
That's
once.
the night that you met Alyssa Edwards because she was like.
I have a history with, and it was also the first night I met. Michelle Visage, and you were mad at her because she didn't know who I was because I went up to pay her a compliment about her song was one of her songs was the first song I bought on iTunes when I first done it.
When she was a Madonna wannabe.
And so I wanted to let her know the first song I ever bought on iTunes was this song,
And she didn't know who you were.
And she thanked me, and then she said, "Who are you?" And you were so mad at her for not knowing who I was.
Did I read her?
No, you didn't read her, but you were mad as hell.
Well, she should know who you are.
I didn't care. And I've worked with Michelle since then, and she's always been so sweet.
We did a movie together, and she's amazing.
Yes.
I got to tell her how much I hated her in the movie. It was very cathartic.
I got to work with her a couple of times, and she's really a lot of fun.
She really is.
All right, we're done.
All right, we love you all.
He's like, we're never having Coco Peru
Thank you
back.
for tuning in, and we know you have a million choices, and we're glad that you chose us. Give it up for Coco Peru. And share.
104 degrees.
Are
you having a stroke?
Hey, do you like the candles?
I do like these candles.